About 5 years ago, just a little personal touch from me, about 5 years ago, a loan officer told me it was the perfect time to purchase. And you listen to a loan officer when he tells you that. The interest rates are as low as we've seen them, so it is the perfect time to purchase. I listened like Rosa. I purchased my house in Lynbrook for $450,000 at that time. It's now worth in excess of $900,000. So it was a win. So when you get good advice like you're getting here today, take it to heart, get the pre-approval, you're ready, in a market that's ready for you. Don't hesitate with that. I know sometimes we all get a little, when the time is right, if it's now or when it's not, but you really just want to jump on the opportunities that you have. I've done so many of these buyers seminars with agents. I have to say, Rosa, this is my favorite. And I don't say that lightly. I say that because she's had so many experts here that have given so much great information. The home inspector touched upon things that are so important, such as is. You'll hear that a lot when I start getting into the REO and the short sale. As is, in New York, is the only state that has as is condition. So what that means is you're purchasing the house as is, but within the contract, your attorney will make sure that although you're purchasing an as is, you're still covered and protected for all the major systems of the house. So all the major systems of the house do need to be in working order by the time we get to closing, and you'll have an opportunity to do a walkthrough. Let's be a little bit more specific to short sales and REOs. When you're purchasing a short sale, have the team of experts that know what short sales and REOs are, because when everybody understands the language, it makes for a much smoother process. The banker, the home inspector, anybody that comes to our office to sign a contract, the first question we ask is, did you do your home inspection? We would never recommend someone to purchase, whether it's a regular residential or a short sale or an REO, without a home inspection. Because not only is it helpful in the deciding factor, is this the right home for me? Yes, it is a doomsday report, like we say. It's going to show you all the ugly stuff that's in the house. It's going to tell you everything that's wrong with it, but that's their job. But it's not just for you to say, look, there's a major problem, I don't want to purchase it, because that might be what you say. But it's also, if you're going to own that home, you want to know how long you have for the boiler approximately. You want to know the condition of the house. When I purchased my house, I still look back at that report sometimes, like, what did he say about this? Like, should I address this? Should I use this as, it's a tool for your home ownership. Yes, things are going to happen 3 months down the road. We get phone calls from buyers all the time. Oh, the boiler stopped working, or there's a leak in the roof. It's your house. Welcome to home ownership. We were just talking about that before. If it's caught before the closing at your walkthrough, I say when you're purchasing, pray for a monsoon. You want it to rain and thunderstorm and snow and storm before the closing, because it will expose areas that maybe weren't exposed when the walkthrough was done. When the inspection was done. But when you're selling, you want to pray for rain, for sun, and it's the most sunniest day. So everybody has their own side to it. But don't purchase a home without an inspection. That's first piece of advice. Short sales and REOs. What's the difference? It's no difference for contractual obligations when you come to the attorney. We're going to make sure that you're protected in the contract for either or, but we like to set expectations of time. So a short sale is you're purchasing from a homeowner who is underwater, who's in distress, who's losing their home. The very important component there is to have a realtor that shows you the house, that knows where they're at in the short sale process. Because the short sale application with a bank could be a lengthy one. You could get into contract and not close for 6 months. So you need to be prepared for that time frame. It's important to know, are they close to getting approval? Where are they at with the application? Because I'm gearing this conversation to buyers of REOs and short sales, but there's a large component for what the seller needs to do with a short sale. They need to prove a hardship. They need to get approval for that short sale to be done. So what do we do to protect you as a buyer? We put in the contract that everybody has 120 days cap. So you know you're going into this contract committed for at least 120 days. If at that point the seller doesn't have approval and you say, you know what, I don't want to wait anymore, you're out. You cancel the deal, you get your down payment back. Same thing with the seller. If they run into title problems, remember, these are homeowners that haven't been paying their mortgage, so chances are they're not paying their other bills either. So we do frequently see a lot of judgments, liens, IRS liens, things that are difficult to clear, maybe sometimes things that the seller doesn't even know about. Some of these liens can be costly and high. So we've seen sellers not be able to sell, that they're that far underwater, and then ultimately the only option they have is foreclosure. And then once the foreclosure happens, that's when it turns into an REO, which is a bank-owned property. Those we don't see too many title issues because the foreclosure is done. So once the foreclosure is done, it wipes out a lot of what the seller had, if not everything. But it's important to have a great reputable title company that knows what they're doing so that they can make sure that the foreclosure was done properly and that it did clear out and wipe out everything that was from the prior owner. So that's the difference between REOs and short sales. Short sales can take a very long time, while REOs, the bank wants you to close in 30 days. There's no wait for that. So it's important that when you understand your time requirements on both, that your lender and everybody is working towards the same time frame. Because when you're purchasing an REO, they're going to require you to close very quickly, and your bank needs to be ready as well. Because you don't want to be a delay on an REO because there's penalties that buyers pay. So you want to be very aware of everything. And it's important to have an attorney that goes through the contract with you so you understand what happens if I can't close by this time. What are my options? Any questions so far? I know I just gave a lot of information.
So so is it the same thing in terms of process working with an attorney with a regular sale and also like a short sale, an REO? Well, not the short sale because we know you say it could take longer.
Yeah.
But are you basically going through the same thing if it was a bank-owned property and if it was a regular sale?
As from a purchaser?
Right, you being the attorney for the purchaser.
It's the same process as far as home inspection, contract, mortgage approval. You have a certain amount of time, 30 to 40 days, to get your mortgage commitment. We make sure, as your attorney, that our biggest job is really to protect your down payment. We don't want anybody's down payment to ever be at risk. So we make sure that we guide you into the time frames that you are set within the contract. And also we want to make sure that you get clear title, that the day you close, you could turn around and sell that house without a problem. That's the point of clear title. You don't want anything that would stop you from doing that. Also, it's the same as far as process, but timing is not. And that's why we set the expectations as to what kind of time frame you're looking at. We always ask, what's your current situation? Like, if you're living someplace and you have to leave within 3 months, a short sale may not be right for you, but unless you're prepared to stay somewhere else during the time that you're waiting for the short sale to be ready.
Got it, okay. And now, because I know people that have purchased home in auction, and they told me, hey, the bank has been able to prolong it. Are you able to do that? And
Absolutely.
How does that work, prolonging? Let's say we're supposed to close in a month, but now you can prolong it for another 2 months while I'm still working with the bank and just trying to get my, things together.
We always set realistic expectations. You can request for extensions, but it's not a guarantee. Especially with REOs, banks are not interested in owning properties. They don't want to. It's a last resort for them to even foreclose on the house, which is why it takes so long. I mean, if a homeowner is in distress and they're talking to their bank and they're telling them they're having a hard time, it can delay the process because the bank doesn't ultimately want to own the property. If a seller just goes silent, and some people do, it's a hard situation for homeowners that legitimately had a hardship. It's a horrible situation for anybody to go through. Some of them get very embarrassed. They don't want to talk to anybody and they shut down, and that actually will speed up the foreclosure process because you're not communicating with the lender. You talked about finding these properties. As an individual, I would not recommend going and knocking on doors of people that are losing their homes because some can be very agitated. And if you introduce yourself and saying, I know you're losing your home, I want to buy it, it may not go over very well. If you have a realtor who is very well versed in introducing that conversation to that homeowner, it definitely goes a long way because the realtor will approach it in a way like, let me help you and let's see if we can save your house. And if we can't save your house, then let's talk about alternatives to get you out of this bad situation.